They go, yeah.
They'll switch to Netflix. There's too many entertainment options. So I was sitting there, like, the first time it happened, what can I do? And I looked over at my backpacks of the gear that runs on Speedify. You paid for a year of it. You can use it on any computer or device. So I just pulled out my one of several hotspots I have, hooked it up, cranked up Speedify, and it has never been a problem since.
We used the Speedify software at a command line level, so it's not running a whole UI which is starting to drain resources. It's really very, very base level. And the really clever people at the BBC got it all working, and we're now presenting whole programs every single day of the year have been presented using this technology. All our weather reports from our weather presenter are done on them.
If I look back at my original lives, they are awful. They're terrible. But we all start somewhere and we all get better. And every time you go live and every time you get on camera, you're going to get a little bit more comfortable.
You saw part of
Really?
it? Cool.
Nice. All right, we are famous. You want to say hi to everybody? Now you're on the video. So wave. That's the camera right there. Nice. All right. We are going back to look at this guy's house. It has a lot of white lights.
There he is. Hey, Christian.
Fine.
Tell me light on the back so you can see when it's how much light.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so these lights
do have RGB mixing, so if you want to do each color, you can mix them independently. Within the app, there are a couple features, and I'll just go show you this.
See power. There we go.
Woo! Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Is just building budget aesthetic gaming PCs, and I have my studio here now, so we've graduated away from the basement of my house and whatnot.
Also, I would say streaming kept me from going completely insane when I was in that hotel room for 2 weeks when I first got to Australia.
So raising awareness is really going to help break that stigma. We definitely have a stigma in our society where it's, not okay for folks to be open about their medical conditions. It's kind of seen as shameful.
We have, all of us have these amazing cameras, Apple, Samsung, Google.
We have customers come in all the time who say, oh, I watched this stream and I came in from out of town and I knew we had to stop here.
We build custom PCs for a lot of content creators, gamers, you name it, businesses, colleges, esports.
And then I do a lot of thought leadership talking and trying to educate the industry on the value of techifying, as I call it, their events, and been doing that for a long time.
The first 2 years of live streaming was actually just myself. I was kind of acting as a community manager.
You know what? I never used to think that people wanted to cared about what I wanted to say, but now I actually, I'm like, you know what?
I care. I care, Gina.
You've got to put it out there. You've just got to put it out there, and someone will listen.
I used to actually be solely mobile, so I used to teach people how to edit using KineMaster, which is just a mobile app. Really, really cool app.
But I love the process of both. I love the editing process, the scripting process, and things like that of recorded videos. But nothing for me also beats the buzz that you get from pressing the go live button.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live. And as always, I'm your host, Alex Gizas. This is the live stream about live streaming. And boy, do we have some live streaming for you tonight. We started the show to talk about the technology behind live streaming, and how Speedify could help, find out how you guys were using Speedify and what other software you're using. And an awful lot of you turned out to be using Ecamm. So boom, we're going to be talking with Ecamm. So we are live. So if you post, comments in the comments box, we see them. Hey, Eden, glad you could join us. And Marb, another one. All right. But looking for questions and stuff. Emojis are cool, but let's start talking. So Ecamm, it is quite frankly the best streaming software on the Mac. It is a beautiful native app, which I use on all of these streams. If I'm streaming from the studio, I'm on Ecamm. It is the software that lets me, change views and all this stuff. That's all Ecamm. I'm a loyal customer, and they just put out a new version, Ecamm Live 4. So we have the Doc Rock here to explain to us what is new in the software. He is a thinker, a knowledge sharer, a content manager, and a teacher. It was Doc who explained to me the importance of changing color LEDs behind you. And as you can see, I've gone absolutely bonkers with that advice. And we'll see what advice he has today. So before I bring Doc on, though, I understand he's given us a video about Ecamm 4. So let's roll that tape.
Ecamm Live 4.0 is here. What's new at Ecamm Live 4.0? With Ecamm Live's brand new multi-streaming feature, you can stream to up to 10 different destinations. These destinations include YouTube, Facebook, Amazon Live, LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and more. You can now even include your Amazon Live comments directly on screen in your broadcast. We've added a brand new camera switcher with drag and drop features, making it much easier to set up and run your show. Are you running panel discussions, workshops, or training? Ecamm Live 4.0 now allows you to add up to 10 guests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guests. Pop open Ecamm Live 4.0, send your guests a link, they join from a browser, and you are good to go. You got Ecamm Live Pro running an Apple Silicon machine? Now you get isolated videos. That means that you and your guests, or you and your multiple camera angles, can all be recorded simultaneously. Man, I am so excited. Ecamm Live 4.0 is here. Run on over to ecamm.com and make sure you get your brand new update to Ecamm Live 4.0.
Such enthusiasm.
Well, they hired a radio guy to do streams. So, yeah, it happens.
You do have a great voice. So how are you, Doc?
Oh, man, fantastic. It's funny. Today is one of those days where I woke up, started streaming. I've been nonstop ever since 6 a.m. So it's what, 11 now, and it's just been stream. But it's fun. Like, this is what I do. I like it.
Nice. I guess this is the third time we've had you on, but
yes,
I guess audiences change in and out. Do you mind saying a little bit about your background? Like, how did you end up?
Sure. It's a TV, and then there's a couple color. Oh, not that background. My bad. So, I was gonna ask real quick. Do I get a green jacket when I get to 5, like SNL? Anyway, so basically, I started out in media. I started out in media like as a little kid because I wanted to. I was DJing and stuff, and I wanted to basically get better at it. So I volunteered at a radio station, was intern at radio for a little while. Radio led me to TV, and then I was always kind of nerdy and into the equipment. So I got into production side as well. And I think I got into production side because I wanted to know how to be better on this side. And it was funny because I used to always watch the technical people say stuff to the talent, and the talent do the little deer in the headlights thing. And I'm like, okay, when it's my chance to sit there, I don't want to do the deer in the headlights thing. So I would spend time on both sides of the camera or both sides of the mixing board. And that way I learned the technical stuff just out of being purely curious. I think it's the number one skill that we should all have, that in most cases our parents and our teachers took away from it, and you need to get it back. So part of my curiosity led me to going into live streaming and realizing that complements of TV, radio, audio, video production, movie production background, I could help people with streams, because streams is the same stuff that we were doing for Disney movies, but doing it for your house. So there you go.
So can you tell us a little bit about Ecamm Live?
Okay, so Ecamm Live is it's a program that we're going to have to change the name for pretty soon. It's just going to be Ecamm, but I haven't convinced them yet. It was primarily invented as a live streaming software, but I think we're so much more than that now. We're kind of a video production software in a sense that when I was in broadcast media, I used to actually run something known as a switcher. It was a Sony like S9000 switcher. You're talking about a $250,000 switcher. That would be like VTR 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are videotape recorders. And then camera 1, 2, 3, 4. And you had these gigantic buttons, and you'd press the buttons, and you'd crank the little thing that looks like a pilot, you know, the T-bar, and you would, and it would do the fade. And they'd be like, fade quicker. You got, you know, like there was no adjusting the crossfades by seconds. It was literally how fast I moved the T-bar up and down to switch between shots. And so my job would be sort of to sit there, and then when it's like, okay, in my earphones, it would get like, okay, put Alex full screen. I'd go, okay, camera 1, shoom. And then I'd go, okay, now switch back to the Speedify graphic. And then I would press, you know, graphic A or graphic 54, bring it up, and then fade it in, right? It's like go to commercial, VTR 1. Commercials are all lined up. Hit VTR 1, you hit play, and then you would crank it back in. That used to take a lot of work. It was super difficult, crazy expensive. The average studio that did live switching was well into the $2-3 million range. And when the Panini happened, that's what I called the situation.
Analog equipment, right?
Right. And then the cabling, we didn't even touch cabling yet. When I got into the Panini, we were stuck in the house, and I was looking to do some live streaming stuff. I had, because of my time as a tech writer at AOL, we used Wirecast, and I was like, as a solopreneur, like Wirecast at $900, that wasn't about to happen, especially not when the Panini was happening. So I went looking, and then I found Ecamm. And it's funny, my original thought, wow, this is too cheap. This can't work. But anyway, I'll try it. It's the same thing I said about you, by the way. then I said, okay, I'll try it. I tried it, and I never looked back. I was like, oh my God, this is glorious. This is amazing. And for the people that come from the background, they all say the same thing. They're like, I can't believe that, you know, this is only so inexpensive in comparison to the way, you know, we learned how to do it, which is ridiculous. But yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I have to say, yeah, I'm using Ecamm for all my live streams, but we're also using it for all our little help videos. We've now set it up using the Stream Deck, where I press one button and it plays a little intro in Ecamm, and then I record a little shtick about how to use, you know, Speedify or whatever, and then I click the button again and it puts on the outro, and we're done. And we're just not. We'll sit here and we'll knock out like 8 little videos about how to use different features using Ecamm, and you know, none of it's live. We just save them all to the desktop, and it's awesome.
Yeah, you know what I think we Katie and I have been saying this a lot lately. We're saying like ABR, like always be recording, or just have your Ecamm ready to go, because 9 times out of 10, especially in a promotional type situation, right? You run a business and you have to promote the business to your users. You might get an idea that just pops in your head, because that's the way, you know, those of us with brains like ours, that's how it works. It just comes to you at the worst possible moment. But if your setup is ready to go, you can just hit the button and say what you got to say and try to keep it under 60 seconds, and then press stop and send it to Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. You know, you can use it to make little videos for LinkedIn or Twitter. And so it's nice to be set up that you don't have to stop, bring up some lights, set up a tripod, do all this stuff, because that just slows you down. And it's going to cause you not to create at the level you want to create. So it's better to always be recording. When the moment hits you like a ton of bricks, you just let it loose.
Yeah. You know, I'm shooting for that medium production value, right? I mean, I've got my
Yes.
background, I get a nice title, and then I explain the thing I want to explain, and then the video's over, and then on to the next one, right? I mean, they're
I'm
all
actually
videos.
happy you brought that up. Let me say something real quick. I keep telling this to everyone. People in general are super sick of gurus. They're over it. Most of the people have been lied to, or they've been told that things are harder than they really are, and it leaves people with a lot of intimidation. So I like to present myself as a medium value because yes, I could go in and get all of my camera equipment and set the studio up to where it would look exactly like ESPN, but that's not attainable. I'm not helping anyone but my ego with that. But if I come in and be me with all of my mistakes, you know, I'm freezing in the basement, so I'm wearing a jacket over my Ecamm shirt, although I should be repping the logo. It's freezing. I'm going to come in and I'm going to be me and come in like, even if the hair is done crooked, well, I don't have any hair, but you know, just don't worry about that stuff. Just put out your content. Somebody needs to see you where you are, because the other person that they're looking at is unobtainable. And if you're only a few steps in front of them, they feel they can get to that, and so they will follow you better than someone that's completely unattainable. So I'd rather learn how to play golf from you than say from Tiger Woods. It's a true story, because like I'm not going to get to his level, not in my time frame.
Yeah, sure. So, reminder, we are live. So, I see questions and stuff going by. All right. Nice. So, yeah, if you guys have questions about Ecamm, ask them. So, why don't we start talking about Ecamm 4?
Okay.
New release. There's a lot of goodies in there.
Oh my goodness.
You ran
so
through
many.
them at high. You ran through them at high speed in the video, but
it is crazy. There's so many good ones, but I think the two that everyone wanted the most was this multi-streaming capability, so that you can send to multiple locations. To me, I think the biggest one is the camera switcher, and again, because I came from a switching person, like if you look at really old TV shows, there's actually a credit for the switch operator. Like there's really a person, or really a person. Let me just double check something real quick. And we're doing live checking. Nope, everything is fine on this end. So
all right, here's a question: is Ecamm a viable alternative to OBS? Yes.
I'm gonna let you say it.
On a Mac, I mean, so in some ways they're sort of similar. On a Mac, Ecamm is just so much slicker. It is so nice, so easy to use.
I know the one feature that
if you're stuck on if you're stuck on a PC and you wish you had Ecamm and you can't get a Mac, yes, you go to OBS, right?
I can tell you the one feature we have that OBS will never have, and I'm actually proud of it. It's my proudest, number one best feature Ecamm will ever produce, and it doesn't matter which version it's on. This feature never goes away. It only gets upgraded every day, and that's the Ecamm community.
Nice.
The Ecamm community is legit. Like, people there to help you. There, I mean, let's be honest. There is no such thing as an OBS community. There's Reddit and then YouTube and a bunch of blog posts all over the place and whatever. But there's not a group of people that hang out almost every day that are basically family, know each other, support each other, test each other out, always pushing to the next level. I mean, you're a part of it, so it's just that can't be replaced. And I can always say in full confidence, the one thing that we will always crush them on is our community is legit.
Nice. All right, we were talking about the camera switcher.
Okay, yes, sorry. I figured out what it was.
All right, I'm the one who sent you on the side path.
Restream likes to put you onto auto leveling, and it's auto leveling something that's already auto leveled, and that causes problems. So if you ever hear that clicking noise, people tell your guests to turn off auto volume. Anyway, so with the camera switcher, the way we have it now, you can actually label your cameras, camera A, B, C, D, E, F, down the chain. And what that does for you, sometimes macOS, this is a macOS situation, in a macOS update or a restart, maybe you had a power outage or whatever, when you come back in, your cam links will get reordered. So if you have more than one cam link, as I do, I have 4, when they switch, they just come on when they come on, and the system picks them up in the order that the power hits it. And it's not the same order every time. I can't tell you why. No one knows. But if you built like a show with 100 scenes and you come in one day and Camlink, 1 is now Camlink 4, your whole thing is broken. But what you can always do is go in and label them using the camera switcher, using the placeholders, which is the secondary feature as part of camera switcher. You can say that anytime this particular cam link is camera A, he got excited.
I'm messing around, yeah.
This other particular cam link.
I'm actually messing around in the camera switcher as we talk, right? Which I suppose
again,
I shouldn't
that brings
do.
to another
You're getting
point,
me
right?
excited.
So you can change, for instance, like I do this all the time when I'm doing a YouTube video as a recording. I will take camera D, which right now looks like it's the same, but I'll hit it with the zoom in pen that gives me, something like this. And when I go to A, I'm there. And when I say Speedify is the greatest, make sure you get it, download it now. And then I can just put it right back out. So that, what that did? That just cut down
So
my
nice.
editing.
2 camera setup, right?
Although in Final Cut, that's a relatively simple edit, it's still about 45 seconds to a minute to pull that off, but I could do it in my recording. You know what I mean? So I'm able to do that. I'm also able to come over here and then say, give it the, back in my day, we used to walk back and forth both directions. I liked it when the Eagles only had one bar on the quarterback's face.
Uphill both ways, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just do cool stuff like that. And so, yeah, these are some of the things that are now built in with in the camera switcher that just makes your production value level up, but it also makes it so much easier to function.
All right. Eden has a question. If I have 3 guests on an interview using Ecamm, is Ecamm able to record individual audio tracks for all of my guests?
Yes. Audio tracks, we can grab all 3. Video tracks, you are limited to 2, but that's because at the moment we've made that adjustment, or we made that clarification based on wondering if your computer could swing it, but as the computers get better, we might expand that back out. Right now, we stuck it to 2.
Okay, I see. Yes, that's pretty cool. So I could record both this whole video and separately record me and Doc and end out with 3 video files. Is that right?
Yes, you get the
So if I wanted to
combined
re-edit
video
later.
file. You get the video file of me and the video file of you, which makes like your post, and we just talked about this on our podcast today, repurposing. You can make your repurposing super epic because, as you know, when we go to put this on, say, Instagram, it's going to be funny because we're side by side. But we can just go in Ecamm and then go doink, and then you can take the video of yourself and drag it into Ecamm as a playback, and the video of me drag it into Ecamm as a playback, and then fit it into the little box using crops, and you can spit out an Instagram reel of basically us, and you can do it right in Ecamm. You don't even have to pull out Final Cut.
Quiet Galaxy asks, those inputs would record at the same time, right? So you
Yes.
wouldn't have to scrub the audio to sync.
Well, yes, it should be in sync. There's things like your internet that can cause sync issues, and same with your cameras or your capture cards. But all of the sync issue stuff, people get so freaked out by it. But in Final Cut, you say like, select this one, sync. In Premiere, you go select this one, sync. Sync doesn't matter anymore. Like you can put things back to sync in 30 seconds or less.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I was watching someone else. I don't remember someone did a video about Ecamm 4, and they were pointing out that if you have a 4K camera, right, you can pull 1080p zooms out of it and still be at full resolution. So if you have 2 guests, you can have a fake camera of this person, a fake camera of that person, the camera of the whole thing.
That was me. More than likely, that was me. Because I get a lot of fights because people are like, why do I want to stream in 4K? You can only play it on Facebook in 720. I go, yes, but when you go to zoom in a 720 clip, it turns into a smashed hoagie real quick. But if you zoom in the 4K camera, I can pull 4 1080 zooms out of a 4K clip because you have that much more information. It's just like anything. If you're going to paint and you got a full gallon instead of a quart, you can make more mistakes. Like you got room to work. So yes, that's why you do that. And it's better.
By the way, DVDs. In my head, I still remember DVDs as having great picture quality. They're 480p.
Yep.
And these tiny little blurry things.
Yep.
They're unwatchable.
Until you get
standards have moved
until
up.
you get the Blu-ray, right? They're really low quality.
And even Blu-ray's 720p, isn't it?
So what's so funny is Katie started a show, and her show is called the VHS Club. So she goes back and we watch all these old movies. And I'm going to be guest hosting on her podcast this week. So I'm watching an old movie, and I'm looking at the movie. I'm still, it's a great movie, but I'm like, man, back in the day, we thought this picture was dope. It's trash. It's absolute trash.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of old movies I have great memories of from when I was like 13 or 14, and I will never watch them again because they must be terrible, right?
Right. Hence all the remastering that's coming out, or the bring these great movies back again, is because they need to redo it with the new modern quality. So yeah, that's it.
So yeah. So where do you guys get the ideas? How do you decide what goes into a new release of Ecamm?
Fantastic question. People like Eden popping up in the question say, hey, if 3 guests are doing this, I want to record the audio for each of these 3 people. And then we go, okay, that sounds dope. Give us a use case. And then they explain the use case. And then we say, okay, we put that into like this little bucket, right? We have a feature request. So, in our streams, Paul is always there telling everybody, if you have a question, put Q: in front of the question. It makes it easier for us to find a question. Now we got our guys put in like FR and then a colon, and then they put in the feature. So when we do our monthly live streams with our developers, also as I'm doing streams and people ask me questions, like we retain those, and we have a back channel, Slack or whatever, where we put them all in. And then if they're really low hanging, Ken and Glenn are nuts. They'll just do it. They'll do it right then and there. They'll just add it. Well, here's an update. It's in there. If it's something that requires a little thought and a little heavy coding, maybe adjusting, it goes into like a list of sort of priorities, and then they pick. But everything that's in there right now, 100% came from the community.
Nice. All right. So how many developers are actually working on Ecamm Live?
1, but it's actually 2. Ken and Glenn are twins, so they're just 1, but it's 2 of them. But their brain is like half and half, so there's just like one Wonder Twin Power activate. They're really awesome though. They're so good. And I always joke because we'll be out at like an event, we're hanging out with the users or something, and in the middle, Ken will disappear. We're like, where's Ken? He has the laptop outside open. Ken, what are you doing? Oh, I'm making an adjustment to the way that the borders work in camera overlays. It's like he will be coding at any given moment in time. It's kind of hilarious.
So Brian Pradell, our chief technical officer, we all went to a bar, and we're at the bar and we have a couple drinks, and he's kind of fiddling on his phone, and we go back to the office, and I look at Git, and there are check-ins from Brian from 10 minutes before, 15 minutes before. He was editing and checking in code on his phone sitting at the bar.
I appreciate that, though, because you know how it
Even
is.
the
right?
other developers were horrified.
The best ideas come to you like when you're in the shower or someplace that, just not where you want to be. And you got to get it out of your head because things that stay in your head get lost. It's just what it is. So, where's
Alex? Be careful what you wish for. So it totally annoys my 18-year-old son. We get stopped on the street and people ask if he's my clone. Are we twins? He does not find it funny. They've only got about 4 jokes, but
That's super funny.
He did not fall as far
We
from
have
the
a
tree
saying
as
in
he would
Hawaii
have
that
liked
the
to.
mango doesn't fall far from the tree. So there you go.
That's right. All right. So what's the coolest thing you've seen people use Ecamm for?
Oh, man. Well, at first, it's funny. At first, it used to be the way that Jared Spink would do his podcast using Ecamm. But now we all do that. So, yeah. The coolest one I can't tell you is fully under NDA, but I've seen people do some pretty incredible stuff with it. I think one of my favorites now as a content creator is because we have this concept of isolated video recordings. I just did this the other day. I wanted to do a review of this in case, like MacBook cover it, because it kind of feels like you remember in school the blue notebooks, and everybody used to draw on the blue notebooks. They had this kind of like denim type fabric on it, and one of my users said you should buy that as the best like hard shell case. I normally never bought hard shell cases for my computers because I hate the scratches. After they get scratched up, they look really bad. They look worse than anything you put your computer in. And then also like they get cracked, or like the dust bunnies and lint get in the corners, and you see someone lift up their computer, you see all this crap inside their clear case. So I knew I didn't want a clear case, but I wanted a hard shell because this computer's so skinny. And I was like, I need to talk about this. This is incredible. So I have a camera here. It's my overhead, and it points directly down. So it's recording, and the way Ecamm is doing it now, it's recording it directly to Ecamm, right? So you can see the little hands there, and of course it's upside down because I always do that. So you just flip it. All right, so here's my overhead shot, right? And then there's this shot. Well, when I record the video now, before what you always had to do is like pick it up and kind of twirl it and show it, or try to get it in the frame or something. And now I can just record, and I can open this and show all of the, the areas, and show the nice seams and everything. And I don't have to think about it. Also, while I'm making the video, I don't have to switch like I'm doing live. I can just let it go. When I'm done, Ecamm is giving me the video of this and the video of this. So in Final Cut, you select the master track, you select the secondary camera, and you select the audio file, and you go make me a multicam clip. Now here's the bonus, and Premiere is the same, but just different commands. When I'm playing it back, I go 1 for my face, 2 for my fingers, 1 for my face, 2 for my fingers. So the first time I watch the clip, I just sit there and with coffee in one hand and these 2 fingers going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm a DJ, so I'm pretty on point with it. But like, even if you're slow, you can just drag it back, right? So I can crank out a video so quickly, and actually, just depending on your computer, like I could add another angle if I wanted to, right? I could record another angle, say in the other iPhone over here, and then just add that to the mix, and it'd just be 1, 2, 3. So being able to multicam edit, because of the way that we're doing those ISO videos, it makes your tutorial video so much faster. So when you were showing us how to make a Speedify with a Raspberry Pi, all you needed is 1 camera pointed at the table, 1 camera pointed at your face, and when you go to edit, you literally go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Simple.
All right.
Oh, he's giving the worker something.
I have that camera, so I'm.
There you go, right?
I'm
So,
ready,
bro.
See,
editing
I've
is
just
so much
been,
faster now.
Yeah, so that's not
Go
too
ahead.
bad then. I've been trying to avoid editing, right? And that's part of why I like to set it up as well as I can in Ecamm Live, do my video in 1 take. If it's terrible, I do another take. If not, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because
1
as
take
soon as I
video.
start editing, I can spend 60 hours trying to get it perfect. It's still a video of me. I mean, no matter how perfectly it's edited, what difference does it make, right?
It's brilliant. And actually, again, people are cool with this, with the less than overly edited videos. Like, that thought process is getting thrown out the window on platforms like YouTube. So if you have your Stream Deck or you have your pedals, you literally just switch to this camera just live and then switch right back, and you're done. Your overlay, your graphic that says this is Speedify video, your graphic for what's coming up, in the next video, that you just put that in place. And then you literally just go down your scenes. And if you don't own a Stream Deck, you just use the command, what's the number I'm looking for? Command left arrow, command right arrow to switch scenes, and to switch cameras, it's the number buttons 1 through 9. So you can literally just do it with your keyboard. If you know your cameras are set 1 and 2, you literally hit 1 and 2 on your keyboard, just like you would do in Final Cut. Ecamm will swap cameras, and you can make your videos so much quicker. If you put out more content, more people find out about
another
Speedify, more
take
people
is
buy it.
faster than editing. Yeah.
Yes.
100% of the time. Yep.
Good
All right.
answer.
So Kevin here has a more complicated question. Is there a way to utilize Speedify with Wi-Fi iPad and iPhone data connection? Or is it best to use the iPhone Speedify to connect iPhone to Wi-Fi and data and iPad to personal hotspot of the phone? Yes, the trick is the iPad, the Wi-Fi iPad, it can join a Wi-Fi hotspot, including the one of the phone that'll put it on cellular, but then it can't join another Wi-Fi. We are working on that. We have a big secret project to make it so things
That's
like
cool.
this.
Well,
So that
Kevin,
you can
in
do
San
2 things at
Diego,
once.
when we did the Ecamm meetup, I have a LTE iPad, and the phone. And I did connect those two together to
See, that's
bond
cool,
them
right?
together. But yeah,
So
for
the Wi-Fi can join like your cell phone and use its LTE, and then you've got the LTE built into the iPad, and particularly if they're on different carriers, you really can get the two added up.
my iPad is T-Mobile and my phone is AT&T, and then my other phone is Mint. So I actually have 3 carriers in my pocket at most times. Well, I guess not, because Mint is T-Mobile, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Cricket is AT&T.
So good.
You're right. There's only the 3, right, in the United States.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everything's AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. And if they have different names, they're really one of those. And yeah, those are the only cell phone companies. So thoughts on microphones? I mean, everybody says if you're going to spend money on just one more thing, make it the microphone. Is that the way you feel? And if so, which mic do you recommend for someone getting started?
Well, there's two things I will put that on. I will put that either on microphone, and actually sometimes I would say it's better to spend it on a skill that will make your stuff better than the gear, because gear changes skills, right? So right now, I can't call it self-promotion now because the class is over, but I just did a class on interview skills, like how to be a fantastic interviewer, and that is a skill that everybody could use, right? Or maybe you need one on copywriting, or like, how to master an email list to actually grow your audience. I can reach under my table right now and pull out a $3,000 mic, and that's not going to get more people to my stream. It's just not, right? It looks cute. It comes in the metal, like, James Bond Russian spy case.
Nice.
As good as this microphone is, it's much better than anything you're ever going to stream with. And you know what? It won't bring a single body to my show. But like learning some promotional skills, learning some marketing, learning some copywriting, those things will go a heck of a lot further. So yes, get a new mic, but honestly, people need to start brushing up on their soft skills more than gear. And that's weird coming from me because I do mostly gear recommendations. But I think a lot of soft skills, need to come into fruition. And so here's proof it positive. When you first started doing this, right, you just sat in front of your wall and it worked because the information is still the information. That didn't change. But blessing your studio, putting your practical lights in there, getting a better microphone, that stuff adds to it. But the info is still good. Like, it's the same good old Speedify information, right? Like, that didn't really change. That part was already on point, right? The rest of it now becomes making it better. So having the best tasting icing is no good in a horrible cake. So let's work on cake. But now, if you're gonna spend money, MV7 or SM7B, those are my top 2.
I found just moving, like, if I'm on AirPods, which I'm only using them for listening. I've got a blue in front of me. I actually had people in the audience complaining and commenting on my audio quality, right? But even moving to one of those $40 Samsung mics they sell at the Home Depot, like, I know you can go to $3,000 and it's in some way better, but I thought that going from AirPods to a $40 mic.
Oh, 100%. AirPods aren't designed
that made a difference.
It's designed to let the sound out and whatever, and it's actually designed to be a little high to make it easier to hear in a louder environment. But that you'll get fatigued on that. That won't sound great for very long. It's perfect for shorter conversations and things like that. If I were going to spend a $50 on the mic, I'd get a Samsung Q2U. It is legit a $50 mic, and it sounds freaking absolutely incredible. And of course, I got one in the bag right here. Oh, maybe this is not it. It feels like it, but it might be different. No, this is the Shure SM58, which is a $100 mic, but still, they look very similar. The only difference is the Samsung Q2U has a USB cable. But this old school thing that we all had in high school or church or wherever, this is still one of the best. And you can buy them on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for like $40, $50, and they will do you fantastic. That's the reason why these still function. And this one is probably older than the average person in the chat, because this one is from like 1974. and it's still hella functional. It works 100%. So
Nice.
I know to people, they freak out because they think mics are expensive. Your USB mic might last 5 or 6 years and die. But if you give up and you go XLR, it won't die. That mic that I showed you in that case, that mic's 20-something years old, and it's still flawless. Like, absolutely.
Nice.
I take that back. That mic is 34 years old exactly, and it's flawless because they just don't die. It's XLR is not going to have that problem. USB, the circuit boards will eventually die and stuff, but most of your XLR
The connector will break eventually from plugging and unplugging the cable. That's what'll go.
Exactly. So that's why I like the MV7, because it's both. So you can start at USB, but when you decide to go to XLR, and it's not that your sound is going to get any better, but your connection and your safety of your connection will get better.
All right, what is this? Senseless Scott, you'll need to code features with a code that indicates the venue of origin. Is that for you? Why? Why? Like, you want people to know where you are? I don't know. Not sure where you're going with that, Scott. Give more info. Unless you do. All right.
Mari, not really. Yes and no. Okay. Omar B. So the size of the connector doesn't quite have a lot to do with quality. The reason why us old audio guys would always complain about it, because anybody that owns any pair of headphones, I don't care what brand it is, after about, say, a year or so, every time you move the headphone, it just starts making noise. And that's because the 1/8-inch connector has less surface area, so it picks up the oxidation, and the noise is normally coming from oxidation first, and eventually it comes from a loose connector. So the skinnier the connector, say like this size, right? That's an 1/8 inch. The less surface area to be still connected when it starts to oxidize. If you clean them and you're careful with bending them, not really a thing. It's okay. Let me put it this way. An 1/8 inch connector is connecting something with tape. A 1/4 inch connector, AKA guitar cable, is connecting it with duct tape. So in Scotch tape, duct tape, and XLR is welding that something. Like it ain't coming out. It would take active treason to pull it out. Like it's really, really solid. So that's the problem. They're the same thing. The connect, it's just how strong you want the hold. You want, regular hairspray that's nice, or you want Aquanet punk rock Sid and Nancy.
So I was reading. I always thought the gold-plated cables were a complete scam.
They are,
but they don't oxidize. So on the day you buy them, they're exactly the same.
Yes, that's the only reason for it.
10 years later, if you haven't cleaned them, they'll sound, the other ones, you just have to clean them.
That's the only difference. They just and they just look really good, let's be honest. But yeah, they're not much for more than anything else. It's just gold oxidizes completely different than, say, stainless steel.
Yeah. All right. I like the immediate downgrade from welding to duct tape. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So Ecamm's the company, and it actually... Changing topics here. You guys have other products, right? Besides Ecamm Live.
Yes.
What else?
It's funny. I think the part that cracks me up the most is how did they pick that name? Because the original product that I remember them from as a user was Printopia. And that now old school Mac users will know this. Back when we used to have Apple Talk printers, and then we were first starting to get into connected through standard network printers. Printopia was a cool driver that allowed Mac printers to just work better. And then Skype call recorder came out, which I used it so much because my original podcast style was recording double enders. There you go. And you would basically just open up Skype and they would like hijack the Skype sound and make a recording out of it. So it made life way simple. So we got that. We got Skype call recorder. And then one of the original apps, Phone Explorer or Phone View now, that would let you see into the subsystem of your phone, find the folders, get things out, pull out all of those PDFs that you got emailed on your phone and the screen is cracked, but I need that PDF because, has my license to something or my passport or whatever. You can plug that guy in and you can get into the data set of your phone and pull out data, make backups and the above. So yeah, the boys been at this since Palm Pilot. I think their first app was a Palm Pilot app.
Holy
When they
cow.
were in like high school.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
All right. Here's a good question. I have an ATEM Mini. Can I forgo that, or should I consider trying to integrate with Ecamm somehow? So the ATEM Mini, of course, is the HDMI switcher, right?
You're gonna love my answer. I bought an ATEM in the very beginning of my Ecamm career. It sat on my desk for 3 days and 6 hours, and then went right back in the box and then went away. Ecamm to me is more powerful than that. One of the things that I don't like about when you use an ATEM with Ecamm is we can only see it as one camera, right? Whereas when you just like me, I got all these cam links connected. I can see each camera has its own separate camera. Like I don't have to really think about that. And even if you don't have something like that, this phone is asleep, but all I do is wake this phone up and then switch over to the Camo app, and Camo app is like, oh, there it is. And then Camo says, open up, Camo Studio on my computer, in which case so just using my iPhone, I can add, a multiple cameras. That's not going to help you in a, what do you call that thing? in an ATEM, right? Like there's no way to get a Camo, camera in your ATEM. So why are you doing face cam? Anyway, it's just, to me, it's just so simple just to be able to do something like this. And then if I tap that, look, woo, I make everybody sick. But look, I can just switch. I mean, like you can't do that with an ATEM. So I think we smoke ATEM in so many ways. And I think my last thing I'll say about that is I would buy an ATEM all over again as soon as it started supporting 4K. It's going to sound crazy and a little elitist, and just because I understand production. Anything that can't do 4K in 2023 is about as functional as the Cowboys. All glass and no glitz.
As a Philly fan, I appreciate that. Yeah. So Paul Duncan here seems to have said the same thing. I hadn't noticed that. But I mean, if you needed 10 cameras, right? I don't like with 2 cameras. You just plug 2 cameras into your Mac and Ecamm, and why would you use a switcher? But
we legit have a user that has 10 cameras.
They have ones with 8. And if you actually had a reason for that, then I think
it has its reasons. It definitely has its reason, and it has his purposes. Oh, now Ryan wakes up. You late for work, Ryan? I cannot come here ever without picking on Ryan at least once. It has to happen. But yes, we do have a user, Keith, and Keith has 10 cameras connected to his Ecamm, and there's no ATEM involved. Like it's all cam links.
Oh, really?
Yes. So there's an old myth from eons ago, and I think it comes from the PC space, that you can't connect more than one cam link to a machine. That might be true on PCs, but on Mac, you could do it easily. I did that video eons ago. It's like 150,000 views later. I think a whole bunch of people in the comments, the number one comment is like, I didn't think you could do that. According to Elgato documentation, you can only connect one. I'm like, okay.
So I don't know. Can Ecamm automatically rotate through your cameras?
Yes.
Yeah.
Super simple. We have a thing inside the scene switcher where you can create a folder, and in that folder you can say, I want to place in these amount of scenes, right? And so I can drop this scene into that folder, and then I'll duplicate this one and pick a different camera, and I'm going to put it on really short. It's going to be obnoxious, but I'll pick that, not this camera, just press the button, Doc. I'll pick this camera, and then I'll take this one and do the old sepia tone trick, right? So I'll duplicate this, and then on this particular one, I'll pull the overhead, and then so in that switcher, I'll set it for every 5 seconds, so it's super obnoxious, and
Yeah.
then leave it on cross dissolve. That's fine, and then I just press play, and then in every 5 seconds, it's going to automatically switch cameras to the next scene. And
So what is that board you have there? I mean, is it in front of your keyboard or behind your keyboard?
This.
No, above it. Yeah, that.
Rodecaster Pro, so I can do things like cowboys.
Nice.
So yes, you can easily set up. You can tell it to do a random interval. You can tell it to do whatever. You can tell it to go to the next scenes. And whenever you press something in here, so if I come out to this scene and then press play here, now it would just automatically rotate through those scenes every couple of seconds and just switch cameras for me.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah,
When I interviewed Faith in the Glitch, he was a happy ATEM mini customer because he's a DJ. So he set it to rotate through his 4 cameras, viewing him from different angles, and he got it up and running. And then he had no hands free during his live stream. But I mean, clearly you can do that.
And again, it does have its purposes. Like it really does have its purpose. If you have a weak machine, then you definitely need to use it because it can handle some of that hard work that your computer has to do. But nowadays, I mean, I get people that say, well, Ecamm only runs on Mac. I don't like that. And I'm like, all right, cool, but you can get a Mac Mini for $600. Like, there's kind of sort of no excuse now.
Yeah.
But we're never going to be a PC app. And I find that funny because, for the longest time, us Mac people, we used to have to suffer through apps that would never switch and never become a Mac app. And so it's nice to work for one that will never be a PC app ever. So it's payback.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, right? Because Apple users, although there are less of them, they're so much more willing to actually pay for apps. That a lot of companies that have Windows and Mac versions have like the same revenue from the two. You look, apparently there are 10 times as many people on PCs as there are on Macs, but they spend the same amount of money. So a lot of the best stuff is just going back into the Apple world because people there buy stuff, right?
I think it's twofold, and it's funny. The two biggest sects of PC users are either corporate users, which one person, bean counter, doesn't even know what the app is good for, is responsible for whether they get the app that they really need or not. And then the other choice would be gamers, which now there's a lot of older gamers, but before it used to just be kids. So you got, stingy accountants and kids. So the people that could have the most control on whether an app gets bought or not bought didn't either spend money or have money. And I think we've never had that problem because we've always been the creatives. And so as a creatives, we are the artists, the musicians, or whatever. And although we don't necessarily make as much money as, say, somebody in the financial services industry, creators who charge $10,000 for a painting, they understand that, $800 for something is worth it, or $500 for something is worth it, because same with them, So I think part of that might just be the culture. It's switching, it's getting better, and those are extreme generalities. But I think that might have been part of the problem is you were either going up against an accountant that didn't even know why you needed this really great, awesome software or equipment, or you were just a kid and it was just unattainable to you.
Yeah. Actually, can we talk about your background? What is going on behind you? Is like that's actually a large screen TV and lighting? I mean, it's really cool looking, right?
Okay.
So what is that?
That is Waimea Valley on the island of Kauai right there. So I have it's hard to see it because it's hiding by the TV, but I have a 15-inch pixel-based tube that's known as Nanlite. I love my Nanlite Pablo tubes. And then so there's one on each side. Underneath the bottom, there are little Nanlite portable light squares that are shining up. So that causes that whole glow in that particular area. And then, of course, I have my Samurai, Stormtrooper Invader. And then I have my Bear Bricks back there. And then a Brazil soccer ball that I had signed because I was in Vegas after Brazil won the World Cup and they signed it for me. and then
Nice.
a ball of Johnny Walker. Never mind that. And then there's Steve. Steve is down there. He's the stormtrooper blocking the plant, but you can see the other light a little bit better. And so
Yeah.
I have it sort of like cycling through colors really, really quietly, and it just changes the ambience and it makes it work better. Before it used
So
to
is it
just
sort of
be
a
the-
paint splatter wall? I mean, there's
no,
sort
no,
of a
no.
weird...
I use something known as the best way to describe this. I use something known as Winchester gray, and the reason for that is it is a color that doesn't cast colors. So I can throw whatever color light I put on it, that wall can become that color. So I've changed the color of the lights. I can turn my whole studio red in just a matter of pressing a button, because that gray just becomes whatever color light hits it. White doesn't really work. White reflects a little bit, and yeah, it's simple but complicated color theory explanation. But yeah, I just put it there. Plus, I don't know, the gray just looks better. It's easier to get a good white balance, and it allows the room to that tone I want, where it's dark there, but then I'm perfectly lit. The whole room doesn't have to look like, you know, you're in the news station. Hi, today at 7. Such a weird look, you know.
So when you live stream, where do you live stream to these days?
Mostly YouTube. I still think YouTube is king. I see that, you know, there's a lot of people that go to various platforms and things like that. I still think YouTube is king, and part of it for me, it's the repurposability. It's the quality, like the fact that I can, you know, send something to YouTube in 4K and it's just gorgeous. And here's the one that nobody talks about. There's no Facebook streaming app on your TV, right? Amazon Fire TVs have Twitch, but nobody else. My Sony doesn't have a Twitch app, but you know, the Amazon Fire TV does. But you know, nowadays a lot of people, especially a show like this, where listening, you can grok a lot of great information when someone's talking on how they set their stuff up or whatever. YouTube has a thing called listenable. It's normally the second or third tab on the top when you walk into an app, especially on the TV. There'll be the listenable tab, and you hit that, and it will play videos for you that you can get value from without staring at them.
Really?
So you can put
I haven't
that
noticed
on,
that.
and then you clean your house. And while you're cleaning the house, Neil deGrasse Tyson is talking to you about the cosmos, or, you know, my boy Jared's podcast will pop up, you know, because I subscribe to him, you know, so whatever podcast you're into will come up. And so, yeah, if you guys tag this video on YouTube as podcast, instead of it just being a live stream, you will start to pop up in the listenable tab. And then one day we'll be just watching TV, and because I'm subscribed, it will just put you on in the background because it knows I'm in the kitchen cooking because I'm not touching the remote, and it'll just start playing listenable. So
Ooh,
your
another hot tip.
Discoverability
Holy cow.
is way better on YouTube. But you know,
Yeah.
people think that you need to have 11 million subscribers. You don't. That's not really a mark of success. Like, I can think of channels right now that sat into the 5-6 million subscribers that we don't even talk about them anymore. They're like a non-conversation. So subscribers ain't everything, right? You want sustainability and value. You build a whole community around it, and you're good to go.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Do we talk about everything in Ecamm 4 at this point?
I think the best thing people should do is just go download the trial and then play with it, see like how it would work for you and what you can use it for. I think there is so much to be done with just having your recording stuff on at all times. The amount of content I create, because I think from video first mindset, like even if I'm going to create a podcast, we record the podcast as a video. You could throw the video away and just completely upload just the audio. But when you record a video where you can see the other person you're talking to, or your audience can, you know, sit there and watch you record it, and you know that people are there, it's just easier. It is so much easier. When you go to edit the podcast, when there's a visual to what you're editing, you know the part where you messed up because your hands go like this. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just see. So even when I was doing just an audio only podcast, I always did it as a video and chopped it as opposed to, speaking into a tape recorder, if you will. It's our brains are just wired that way. So I would definitely say download the trial, play with it, jump into the Facebook community or the Discord community. Any questions you have, we can answer. You don't need anything fancy. If you don't own a mic and you don't own a camera yet, all you need is one of these. And then yes, Apple can do it with continuity camera, and your Android phones just work. You just plug them in with a cable, but you might at least want to get camo because camo will make it better. It does things that continuity camera can do. It's less flaky, and yeah, you're good to go.
Nice.
Seriously good to go.
And I mentioned this before. So you can put both camo and Speedify on a phone, and if you plug the phone into your Mac, the Mac can both use the cellular off the phone and use it as a camera at the same time. It's totally cool. We didn't really plan it. Just the two products work perfectly at the same time on the same phone, and you can plug it into your Mac.
This came up the other day.
You can pick up LTE and a camera from the same iPhone.
We were getting ready to do the 4.0 launch, and Glenn, our developer, was a little bit worried because the office, the Amesbury internet in our office can go goofy because it's a really old town. It's a beautiful town, but it's an 1800s town. So their infrastructure isn't as glossy as, Central Philly. So what he was like, yo, I think I heard you say on the stream one time that when you guys were doing Leap in live stream and almost died, but then your phone kept it going. I was like, yep. He's like, how do I do that? I'm like, okay. So just open Speedify on your phone and then plug the cable in and then plug it into your computer, select it as an internet source. And he was like, oh, look at that. I was like, just leave it on the table. If for some reason the internet in the office eats it, Speedify will automatically jump over and grab your phone, which sometimes in our office is faster than the net when it's coming in. When it's working, it's gorgeous. When it's not, it's really bad. So it's like a complete binary situation. And I go, and if anything should happen in the middle of the stream, when we have 500 people on, the phone would just kick in. You won't even notice it. And I think after hearing us talk about it so much, I think he finally grokked it when he was like, we're about to release 4. We want to make sure nothing happens. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I did a whole entire second day of a conference, had no clue that it was eating up my phone until I went back to the hotel. And I'm like, oh, man, Raiders and Ravens are going to play. Bet. Let me pull up. And you have used up all your data. No, I didn't. Today's the first day of data.
It's a tricky thing for us. Like, how much should we keep you informed?
Yeah.
You'd think a lot. We should keep you informed using your cellular. On the other hand, you're in the middle of a live stream. You don't want us popping crap up on your phone. So
I just don't want to know because I'm live and we're doing stuff. And you know what? That would have put us, honestly, I'll be honest. That would have probably put, Katie and Stephanie, the other producers, in a panic mode to know they were streaming from a phone. And then maybe they would start making changes or making adjustments. We did nothing. The stream went off without a hitch. Nobody knew. Everybody was like, yo, this was cool. This is cool. Like, we had you as a guest. We had Eden as a guest. Like, everybody was just happy. And then at the end, we were like, oh, hey, this whole thing was running from my phone. And you know what? No problem. I just go to AT&T for that month, and I'm like, I need a bucket of minutes. And since the stream was, saved by my phone, I just used the corporate card and filled up a bucket of minutes for a month. And it's no problem. Now we go into it on purpose. We set up all the phones, just so that we're ready because we know that it works and it's flawless. It literally is flawless.
Yeah. Yeah, right now I'm Etherneted to Comcast, and then I have 2 phones tethered, an Android on Verizon and an iPhone on AT&T. I've got 3 internet connections. And actually, today the Comcast is working fine. It doesn't look like Speedify's had to jump in and save my bacon today. but Lord knows other streams it has.
Actually, that's good to know. Like, see, when you see the piano keys are all relatively the same size, you know you're good. When your piano keys are going all over the place, have that phone charged and ready to go.
That's right. And so Kevin has one more point going back a few minutes about SEO, right? Search engine optimization on YouTube is another reason YouTube is king, right? So
100%.
Totally true, right? YouTube, they pull the text, they do the audio to text, turn your video into a text file, and then because it's all Google, they make sure the Google search engine is searching it, right? So I think, people using Google search engine
a cheat code.
are
Since
much
Kevin
more
brought it
likely.
up. All right. Since Kevin brought it up, I'm gonna give everybody a cheat code.
Please.
So remember this timestamp or write this down or whatever. When the stream is finished or your show, whatever, the video that you posted on YouTube because you recorded it, doesn't matter. Whenever your video is done, bring down the transcript. Go into your favorite word processor or whatever and edit it. I have the script, so it's kind of done automatically for me. If you don't have a transcript for whatever reason, you should, but if you don't, there's Whisper, which is also made by OpenAI. It will transcribe your thing, give you a text. Take the text file, fix it a little bit, make it cute, less errors, drop it into a prompt on ChatGPT. And then in the bottom, you say, using the above information, write me an engaging summary of the above text. LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts, whatever's, right? Make me a hook intro for this video. Instagram reel, TikTok reel. Boom. Make me a blog post based on the above information. Make sure to include bullet points and headers. Go to your WordPress, put it in there, run it through Grammarly, fix it, add a little extra sauce, but you're talking 5 minutes to take a whole video and convert it into a blog post. And so now you got all your SEO game tight because they link to each other.
Holy
I don't like AI. It's going to steal my job. It's going to steal your job if you lazy. You know what I'm saying? But like if you gangster with it, your job is perfectly fine. Your job just got better, player. Like, come off the weak sauce energy. We don't do that.
Holy cow. All right. I've been using Descript and it doesn't.
Yeah, same here. I use the script. That's better. But because people are going to complain. I try
But
to
then to
now,
take that script and feed it. Yeah,
Yes.
so it does a perfect job. Like
Yes.
I'll feed it this video, and it'll actually even by now it knows both our voices. It'll come
Yes.
back with a script saying Alex : and then Doc : it'll actually write out what we say. It'll capitalize names. It'll put in commas in the right spot. I mean, it's actually creepy how good it is.
Yes.
But then I've done a poor job of successfully turning that into like blog posts and stuff. I mean, I
now
do a
you
little,
can
but I'm
turn
not
it
doing a
into
good
a
enough
blog
job.
post, right? You could turn it into a blog post, and you could even seed it with the questions that we had, right? You can take the questions that we had and even add them so that they become whole sections, right? And yeah, it's genius. And there's more stuff about like how to seed it so that it's writing a particular way. Using the writing style from Speedify.com. Write these articles. So like I'm just saying, like it's too easy now, and yet people are still trying to find excuses because everybody just wants Oprah to come on and bring you 1 million subscribers, and they think that that's going to solve your problems, and it's not. Because even if Oprah came tomorrow and said, "Hey, everybody, go and check out Kevin Cox's channel," they're gonna look. This video was good. Where's the rest? And there is no rest. So. Yeah, it's like
move on.
inviting everybody to your restaurant before you have any ingredients. These chairs are cool. And that's the end of it, right? So they're never coming back. So yeah, like everyone's in a rush to get subscribers. You got to have something for them to see. You got to have content, and once you start building that content, like your AI could it can make your day. Yeah, it's hard to explain. Like it's so cool. It's so cool.
That is so cool. Like right there, that was, if this stream wasn't worth it before, now it's worth watching. That was awesome, Doc. You blew my mind. I learned so much here today.
It's so much fun too. I just have fun playing with it. I have fun trying to stomp it or just asking it crazy stuff. And yeah, it's brilliant. You can tell it who it is, right? So if you had to do a paper and you wanted to talk like astrophysics, you can tell it that, you've gone to Carnegie Mellon, you studied Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Galileo. You are an expert astrophysicist. Please answer the following question. You just eliminated the articles written by Ryan because those are no good. You need the ones written by those. You know what I'm saying? Like you can preload it and just tell it, like, look, using this.
It has a real problem with facts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
So
everything sounds right? But
you give it the facts. You tell it. Here is let's say there's a white paper written by Berners-Lee about, TCP/IP protocols and like how you're going to adjust the octets and whatever accordingly. Well, Berners-Lee wrote the book on it, right? So you can say, using his articles alone, find me this information. And now you skip the articles written by Kevin Cox because Kevin doesn't even know who Berners-Lee is.
I've been seeing a lot of examples though where it comes up with quotes from people that certainly sound like things they would have said, and they're real people, but it turns out they never said it, right? And I'll mention books people wrote that sound like books that person would have written, but it's not actually a real book. So you really have to fact check. Well, if that's the issue for you, I mean, if you're just trying to get people hyped up.
Well, yeah. So
maybe there's no facts in
fact
question,
check
right?
it. But the other thing that you can do, you can say, you can make a section. You can say research : and then you could put the links to all of the articles that you've already read and trust or you understand, right? And then you can say text : and put the keywords that you want. And then you can say, using the above bracket research, write an article about, streaming and whatever. And then you make sure to include these keywords. And then now it's gangster.
Okay. All right. So
feature.
Page G, I guess, it is asking. So as soon as we're done here, we're going to return. The live stream will continue without any people. We have put cameras on the roof of our building and a Starlink satellite dish. And we live stream from those cameras over the satellite dish to give us crazy. You can check out the skyline, and we've got all kinds of weird commands. You can change cameras. Exclamation point bridge will change the view from Center City, Philly to looking at the Ben Franklin Bridge. There are all kinds of commands that are on the bottom there that show up. We've been goofing around, putting up all sorts of Eagles ones this week. Exclamation point UFO is my personal favorite. Flying saucer whizzes by, and tonight Ryan did a nice job on that. He's got sort of faded and gray, so no matter what the sky looks like, it kind of looks real.
Do we have a way to get an idea how long the line is at Primanti Brothers or something?
I don't think you can see from there. We're kind of high level here, right? It's a rooftop at 6th and Spring Garden, so you get the whole skyline, and so cool. It's fun. And it's Speedify 24/7, making sure this thing really works. So part of it, Starlink. So Starlink is the SpaceX Elon Musk internet. You buy a satellite dish for like $600 and $130 a month. And it's really, it's interesting. It's really variable. Sometimes you can get 200 megabits through it, but sometimes you get 2 megabits through it. And the satellites are whizzing by. So it's not, it just changes all the time. And so we're actually, we started hearing about, because on Reddit, there were all these conversations that mentioned us, and we'd go look, and it was always in the Starlink room, and people would be saying, oh, you're having trouble with your Starlink, install Speedify. And we're like, really? So we had to run out and get one. And, it really does improve things. And we've also realized there's a lot more we could do. So right now, our Kevin is busy banging away over there, trying to, he sees things he could do better, right? We're not so much the internet connections that, I mean, it really goes from 200 megabits to 1 megabit and then back to 200. And so it's a lot more variable. But, for people in the middle of nowhere, people on boats.
Oh, it's amazing. I actually use it every time I go to Boston because we have one in the area that's connected to the Ecamm setup, and so we use it all the time. And I found out that there's like sites and tables in that will let you know, like, this is definitely going to be a bad time. Change the direction to this. And I was like, oh, so I guess there's ways to adjust where it points. And then you can, I guess there's
with the latest software, we've seen it a couple times just move itself.
It's beamforming. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. But there's like, I think in Reddit, if I remember correctly, you can find out like, here's the best way to point on this particular time because something's going to happen. Like they know certain events.
Yeah.
But I did a whole stream on one and I was like so impressed. I was so impressed at how good it was. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, it plus Speedify, even 3G phone, which you think it isn't really good enough, but Speedify, when you get down to like it being only 1 megabit, then suddenly getting 2 more megabits from your phone is the difference between your stream being screwed up and not, right? And as soon as it gets good, we'll stop using it again. So it's fun stuff. Wow, it's 5:16. We've been at this for an hour and 15 minutes here.
Okay.
So last question: what is next for you, for Ecamm? Either one.
For me, like I'm realizing that, like I just did this mastering interview course, and I'm realizing that I have a lot more things in the dome I need to let out, and that coursework is a fantastic way to do that. And I think being able to share that stuff, anything that I can do to help make someone's ability to get their story out and like start sharing what they know with the rest of the planet, I think it's super important because there's somebody waiting to hear exactly what Kevin or Eden or Scott has to say. Somebody wants to hear it the way that they present it, and it might be there's 5 other people saying exactly what you want to say, but people vibrate with different people differently. Anybody who has been with certain friends or family or spouse or whatever for a long time, you could tell them the same thing 17 times and they'll just ignore you. And then, Mark comes over and repeats the same thing you just said, almost verbatim. And then they're like, oh yeah, Mark, that's right. You're like, what the? I've been saying this for like 3 years. What are you doing? It's certain things have to be presented in the exact right syncopation, the exact right word order, the exact right. That person is 3 inches shorter than me, so I don't feel intimidated by them when the person that told them is 3 inches taller than them. So I just don't want to hear it because I feel like they're telling me what to do just because they're bigger. And that's not always the case. Perception is a strange cookie, right? So, Kevin, you might go to say something that you've watched a whole bunch of other people say, but the way you say it with your particular, San Francisco, like slang, or, get hyphy with it or something, they absorb it. And you just build an entire community that want to hear it the way that you present it. So I don't say things much different than Renee Ritchie or Marquez Brownlee or, Nick Dimon or Mr. Beast or Daryl Leaves. I say some of the same stuff they say. I just say it with, a little bit of a hip hop attitude and a lot of bad words. So they make more sense to somebody. You know what I mean? Like perception is totally, like Kevin said, perception is just different. So people will vibe with you. And, my boy Alicio always says your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So somebody needs to hear it from you the way that you do it. And it's just better, just absolutely better.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Doc.
Appreciate it.
So for me, tomorrow we have another stream. It's going to be me and I think our Kevin, lead developer on Speedify. So that is your chance to ask super detailed questions about using Speedify in Iran or with a Starlink, all those questions I didn't get to. Tomorrow is the day we'll get into them. February 14th, we're going to have Rashid Amini, the Jet Propulsion Labs engineer, who has created Nanya. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The love quiz. So he's built an app scientifically from an honest to God rocket scientist. Asks you a bunch of questions, and he finds you your true love. So this is
so simple.
Yeah, so simple. So that's going to be our Valentine's Day live stream. We're going to get him on here, and he can explain it to us. That's about as romantic as I get.
Dude, that is awesome. I love when you hear things like that. You know, someone who's taken their skills and applied it in a way that's just different from the way you would think. I get a kick out of that stuff, and I don't know why. It just is what it is.
That's right. All right, so I think that's it. So we'll say goodnight. Thank you, Doc. Thank you to everyone who watched, everyone who asked questions. I think that's it. So we'll go back to that live stream you can check out page, and check out our Starlink. Try some Eagles commands. There's a whole bunch of just exclamation point Jalen, stuff like that. So also go Birds. So
yes, go Birds.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Aloha.